Did you know one of the youngest convicted murderers was just 10 years old? These kids committed crimes worse than you could ever imagine, from 12-year-olds murdering their friend to please Slender Man, to a girl setting fire to her grandparents in their home. Here's a look at the most dangerous kids: Anna Wire and Morgan Geyser. Oh man, the Slender Man stabbing. This one's a freaky tale that's impossible to forget. Picture this: Waukesha, Wisconsin, 2014. Two 12-year-old girls, Anna Wire and Morgan Geyser, concoct a terrifying plan to appease a fictional character named Slender Man. Yes, you heard that right. This guy isn't even real. He's a creation of internet folklore, a nightmarish figure with a featureless white face and a tall, slender build. Originally birthed from a creepy photo on the Something Awful forums, Slender Man took on a life of his own, inspiring countless stories and artworks that chilled to the bone. Back to Anna and Morgan. They lured their friend, Peyton Leutner, into a deadly game of hide-and-seek, dragging her deep into David's Park, a forest near Waukesha. What happened next is beyond comprehension. They stabbed her 19 times. 19 times. All to win the favor of a fictional monster. It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but it was horrifyingly real. Despite being left for dead, Peyton showed incredible strength. She managed to crawl to a nearby road where a cyclist found her and called 911. Peyton's survival was nothing short of miraculous. She endured stabs that hit vital organs but somehow pulled through. And what about Anna and Morgan? They were found 5 hours later near a furniture store off Interstate 94, almost 5 miles from the scene, still carrying the knife they used. They believed they were on a mission to meet Slender Man at his supposed mansion in Nicolet National Forest, 200 miles away. During their police interviews, Morgan showed no remorse, while Anna appeared to grasp the gravity of their actions. Both girls, however, genuinely believed their horrific act was a tribute to Slender Man. Peyton, our incredible survivor, left the hospital just a week after the attack. But for Anna and Morgan, the ordeal was just beginning. They faced charges of attempted first-degree homicide. In 2015, the judge rejected their kill or be killed defense. Fast forward to May 2023, Morgan sought a conditional release, but later withdrew her request. As for Anna, her legal journey took several twists. Initially pleading not guilty due to a mental defect in 2016, she changed her plea a year later to guilty of a reduced charge, attempted second-degree homicide. The jury, convinced of her mental illness, sentenced her to 25 years in Winnebago Mental Health Institute. Here's the twist. In 2021, a judge declared Anna no longer a danger to society and granted her conditional release. By September 2023, she was free of GPS monitoring. Can you believe it? Anna Wire, once at the center of this nightmare, now has more freedom than she's had in years. Is this a fresh start for her? Only time will tell. Ashley Ann Rose Martinson. So, who was Ashley Ann Rose Martinson? She seemed to live a typical life under one roof with her mother, stepfather, 2 stepsisters, and a half-sister. But beneath this ordinary facade lay a history of unimaginable abuse and trauma. According to her younger siblings, Martinson's stepfather, Thomas Ayers, had a long history of verbal and physical abuse. Even more harrowing, Martinson claimed she had been physically abused for 2 years by a former boyfriend of her mother's. Martinson's stepfather wasn't just abusive. His criminal record included convictions for kidnapping and domestic abuse. Despite being legally barred from possessing firearms, Ayers had a cache of loaded guns readily available in the house. The tipping point came just after Martinson's 17th birthday. Her mother and stepfather discovered her secret relationship with a 22-year-old man named Ryan Sisko, and the confrontation escalated quickly. Martinson posted a chilling message on Facebook, hinting at the dark thoughts brewing in her mind. He's going to kill her if she doesn't leave soon. I want to kill him so bad. Take one of his guns and blow his brains out. The next day, Martinson's life changed forever. Witnessing her stepfather brutally beating her mother, she snapped. In a fit of rage, she grabbed a shotgun and ended his life. When her mother came to investigate the noise, Martinson turned a knife on her, ending her life as well. After the incident, Martinson locked her younger siblings in a closet with food to ensure their safety. The aftermath was a legal whirlwind. Martinson initially faced charges of first-degree homicide and false imprisonment, but she eventually pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree intentional homicide. In 2016, she was sentenced to 23 years in prison, with an additional 17 years of extended supervision. Despite the defense's argument that her actions were a result of the severe abuse she endured, Judge Michael Bloom Bloom decided that her past did not justify her actions. But life behind bars has taken a surprising turn for Martinson. She's claimed to be happy and safe in prison, even earning her high school diploma in 2017. Attempts to reduce her sentence have been denied, but Martinson continues to serve her time in Taycheedah Correctional Institution, Wisconsin. Kristen Avery Pittman. In 2005, Kristen Avery Pittman faced the unforgiving judgment of the court, convicted for the brutal murder of her grandparents, Joe and Joy Pittman. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment crime. It happened in 2001 when Kristen was just 12 years old. At that tender age, Kristen had already run away from home twice, grappled with suicidal thoughts, and had a run-in with the law. She was sent to a facility designed for children with challenging backgrounds, where she spent 6 days and was prescribed Paxil for mild depression. Here's where the story takes a dark turn. After being sent from sunny Oxford, Florida, to live with her grandparents in Chester, South Carolina, Kristen found some stability. Her mother had deserted her twice, and her father was described as abusive. Her new doctor in Chester didn't have Paxil samples, so he prescribed Zoloft instead. Both are SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, but switching them out like that was far from ideal. Kristen started feeling off almost immediately, with her sister even describing her as manic. She had a weird burning sensation all over her body that needed pain medication to control. The doctor's solution? Double the Zoloft dosage from 25 to 50 milligrams per day. Zoloft's potential side effects in kids include aggravated depression, abnormal dreams, and even hallucinations. On November 28, 2001, Kristen's day was already spiraling out of control. She got into fights on the school bus, choked another student, and disrupted a piano player at her church. That night, after her grandfather disciplined her with a paddling for trying to leave her room, she did something unimaginable. She went into her grandparents' bedroom, used their shotgun, the one they had taught her how to use, and ended their lives. But it didn't stop there. She set the house on fire using a candle and some paper, grabbed the car keys, took her grandparents' firearms, her dog, and a measly $33 and hit the road. She didn't get far. 2 counties away, she was caught after getting stuck. Initially, she spun a tale about being kidnapped by a large black man who had killed her grandparents and set the house on fire. But eventually, she confessed and chillingly said her grandparents deserved what they got. Remember, this happened just 2 days after her Zoloft dosage was doubled. Kristen's trial began on January 31st, 2005, 3 years after the shocking crime. The courtroom buzzed with complex issues, from Kristen's mental state due to her age to the role Zoloft may have played in her actions. Was this a case of murder or some lesser form of homicide? The narrative honed in on the Zoloft factor. Prosecutors aimed to show that Kristen was fully aware of the moral gravity of her actions, citing her premeditated plans to escape the fire she set and her calculated getaway. Fast forward to February 15, 2005, Kristen was found guilty and hit with a 30-year sentence. But in December 2010, she struck a plea deal, pleading guilty to voluntary manslaughter. Her new sentence was 25 years, including time already served. While inside, Kristen transitioned and legally changed her name to Kristen Avery Pittman. Her story raises significant questions about the impact of medication on young minds and the extent to which it can influence behavior. Gerald Milton. In 2015, a seemingly routine cannabis exchange in Omaha, Nebraska, turned into a horrifying incident that no one saw coming. Jamie Melray and Charles Fisher walked into Miller Park expecting a smooth transaction, but what they got was far from it. Instead of a simple deal, they were ambushed by 3 children. Jamie Melray was fatally shot in the head and neck, while Charles Fisher managed to escape with a shoulder wound. But the real shocker? One of the assailants was Gerald Milton, a mere 12-year-old. Gerald, along with his 17-year-old brother and another 15-year-old accomplice, had devised a plan to rob the dealers and walk away with easy money, but things spiraled out of control, leading to Jamie Melray's tragic death. After the crime, Gerald disappeared, setting off a massive manhunt. He was eventually apprehended in Minneapolis, miles away from the crime scene, with a staggering $25,000 reward for information leading to his capture. Gerald's father insisted that while his son might have been present, he didn't pull the trigger. Young Gerald pleaded not guilty when his court date arrived. His older brother, however, wasn't so lucky. He was convicted of first-degree murder and faced 58 to 82 years in prison, with the earliest chance of parole being 34 years away. But Gerald's legal troubles didn't end there. He also faced rape charges in South Dakota. Gerald Milton's record was a laundry list of juvenile system failures and probation violations dating back to 2015. He had been on a revolving door of probations, curfews, and halfway homes, including a stint at Boys Town. Despite these interventions, he kept slipping through the cracks. Even after a chance to live with his mother in South Dakota in late 2019, Gerald landed back in trouble, leading to his return to a juvenile detention center. But the story gets even more complicated. By the latest reports, Gerald Milton wasn't just facing juvenile justice anymore. He had graduated to the adult prison system, cooling his heels in a South Dakota jail. His case raises critical questions about the effectiveness of the juvenile justice system and its ability to rehabilitate young offenders. Eric Smith. In the quiet town of Savona, New York, on August 2, 1993, a chilling event unfolded that would capture national attention and leave an indelible mark on the community. Eric Smith, then just 13 years old, committed an act of brutality against 4-year-old Derek Roby that is both shocking and heartbreaking. It was a seemingly ordinary day when Eric Smith rode his bike to a local day camp in a nearby park. Derek Roby, a cheerful and innocent boy, was walking alone to the same camp. When Eric noticed Derek, he lured the younger boy into a wooded area. What followed was a sequence of unimaginable violence. Eric harmed Derek using a combination of strangulation and blunt force trauma inflicted with a rock. To add to the horror, he poured Kool-Aid into Derek's wounds from the boy's lunchbox. The search for Derek began when his mother, Doreen, arrived to pick him up from camp and discovered he had never arrived. After a frantic search lasting 4 hours, Derek's body was found in the woods. The brutality of the crime and the young ages of both the victim and the perpetrator shocked the nation. 6 days later, on August 8, 1993, Eric Smith confessed to his mother that he had killed Derek. His family promptly reported this to the authorities. Extensive medical evaluations were conducted, but no definitive explanation for his violent behavior was found. Eric's distinctive appearance, low-set ears, thick glasses, red hair, and freckles made him a frequent target of bullying, which might have contributed to his psychological state. A defense psychiatrist diagnosed him with intermittent explosive disorder, a condition characterized by sudden episodes of extreme anger and violence. However, the prosecution's expert argued that this disorder was rare in someone as young as Eric. Eric Smith was tried as an adult, and in August 1994, at the age of 14, he was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 9 years to life in prison.